Ever wondered if modern medicine has it all figured out? We trust doctors with our lives. But what if their methods were based on baking owls and rubbing rabbit guts in your eyes? Welcome to the wild, weird, and frankly terrifying world of medieval medicine. Forget everything you know about science, because we're diving into a time when healing was a bizarre cocktail of superstition, religion, and some very, very strange ideas. This was an era where getting sick was often a death sentence, not because of the illness, but because of the cure. So, how did a medieval doctor even begin to diagnose you? It all came down to one core belief: the theory of the four humors. This ancient Greek idea dominated medical thinking for over 1,000 years. The human body was believed to contain four essential fluids, or humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Each humor was linked to an element: air, water, fire, and earth, in a specific season. A healthy person had these four humors in perfect balance. But if you had too much or too little of one, you'd get sick. Feeling a bit sluggish and sad, that was probably an excess of black bile, making you melancholic. Running a fever and feeling angry? Too much yellow bile. The solution seemed obvious to them: get the excess humor out of the body. And their number one method for doing that? Bloodletting. That's right. The answer to almost everything was to drain your blood. The belief was that blood, being the most dominant humor, often needed a little adjustment. Doctors would consult elaborate charts showing which veins were connected to which body parts and astrological signs. Then, they'd get to work. One popular method was venesection, where a barber surgeon, yes, your barber was also your surgeon, would make a cut into a vein, usually in the arm, and let the blood flow into a bowl. They'd drain you until you felt faint, believing that was a sign the bad blood was gone. If cutting you open wasn't their first choice, they had another slimy assistant: the leech. These little bloodsuckers would be placed on the skin and left to gorge themselves, a practice thought to be a gentler way of rebalancing the humors. From headaches to fevers to the plague, bloodletting was the go-to treatment. It didn't matter if it actually made patients weaker. The theory was everything. But what if your ailment was a bit more specific? Well, the cures just got weirder. Let's say you were a wealthy noble suffering from gout, a painful joint inflammation. Your doctor might prescribe a truly unique remedy. First, you'd need an owl. You'd pluck it, stuff it with salt, and bake it in an oven until it was completely carbonized. Then, you'd grind the burnt owl into a fine powder, mix it with boar's grease to make a paste, and rub it all over your sore joints. The logic behind this? Well, there wasn't much. It was a mix of folk tradition and the idea that certain animals had specific healing properties. Or what if you were developing cataracts, a clouding of the eye's lens? The solution was just as stomach-churning. A physician would take the gallbladder of a hare, mix the bile inside with honey, and then use a feather to delicately apply this sticky, bitter concoction directly onto your eye. They believed the powerful properties of the bile would dissolve the cataract. Whether it actually worked or just gave you a nasty eye infection is another question entirely. And then there was the big one: the Black Death. When the plague swept through Europe, it wiped out nearly half the population, and doctors were completely powerless. Desperation led to the most extreme and bizarre cures. Some physicians recommended eating treacle that was 10 years old or more, believing its age properties could fight the disease. Others advised people to live in sewers, thinking the foul air of the sewer would drive away the bad air of the plague. In a truly desperate move, some people turned to self-flagellation. Groups of flagellants would walk from town to town, whipping themselves in public as a form of penance, believing the plague was God's punishment and that their suffering would appease him. Of course, none of this worked. The crowded processions and open wounds likely just helped the plague spread even faster. If the cures for common illnesses were bad, medieval surgery was the stuff of nightmares. Imagine having a splitting headache or seizures. The doctor's diagnosis? Evil spirits or bad humors trapped inside your skull. The solution was a procedure called trepanation. They would literally drill, cut, or scrape a hole into your head while you were wide awake. There was no anesthetic, maybe just a swig of alcohol or a piece of wood to bite down on. The goal was to release the pressure or let the demons out. It's shocking, but archaeological evidence shows that some people actually survived this brutal operation, as their skulls show signs of healing around the hole. Still, the risk of infection, brain damage, or death was incredibly high. And what about a simple battle wound or a deep cut from a farming accident? Today, we'd clean it and stitch it up. Back then, they had a much more dramatic approach, cauterization, to stop the bleeding and prevent infection, or so they thought. A surgeon would heat a piece of metal in a fire until it was red hot, and then press it directly onto the wound. The smell of burning flesh, the searing pain, it's unimaginable. After the wound was sealed, they wouldn't just leave it. They'd often apply a poultice, which could be a mixture of anything from bread and honey to animal dung and cobwebs. While some ingredients like honey had mild antiseptic properties, others were a direct invitation for gangrene and tetanus. The belief was that for a wound to heal properly, it needed to form pus. They called it laudable pus and saw it as a good sign, when in reality, it was a clear sign of a raging infection. From drilling holes in skulls to prescribing burn owls and living in sewers, it's easy to look back at medieval medicine and laugh or shudder in horror. These practices seem absurd to us now, a chaotic mess of superstition and flawed logic. But in a strange way, we owe our modern medical world to these gruesome beginnings. Every failed cure, every dangerous surgery, every bizarre theory was a step on a very long, painful road. It was the consistent failure of these methods that eventually forced people to start questioning, observing, and experimenting. The stark contrast between a bloodletting chart and an MRI scan shows just how far we've come. We've replaced the four humors with germ theory, cauterizing irons with antiseptics, and blind faith with evidence-based science. So next time you take a simple antibiotic, take a moment to be grateful you're not being prescribed a paste made from a baked owl. It's a powerful reminder that progress in medicine is written in the ink of past mistakes. Thanks so much for watching this journey into the bizarre history of medicine. If you found this fascinating, or are just feeling very thankful for your 21st century doctor right now, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the weirdest parts of history. Let me know in the comments which medieval cure you found the most shocking. See you next time.